5 p.m., it's Miss Sarah's Dynamic Gospel Power Show. Tune in on the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Hi, this is Paul Malloy, host of Freedom Works, The Paul Malloy Show. I hope you'll join us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 10 to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, here on the Tan Talk Radio Network, where we strive to bring you the libertarian perspective on political events of the day. There's no show quite like Freedom Works, with in-depth interviews, our ultimate top 10 list, and so much more. So join us for Freedom Works, The Paul Malloy Show, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 10 to 11 a.m. here on the Tan Talk Radio Network.
From the Sunshine State, this is Tampa Bay's Tan Talk.
Only in America can a guy from anywhere.
For the past 9 years, we have been fighting against the most sinister and corrupt forces on earth. We have together, all of us together. With your vote in this election, you can show them once and for all that this nation does not belong to them. This nation belongs to you. Because it was the hardworking patriots like you who built this country, and tomorrow it is the hardworking patriots like you who are going to save our country. Think of this, I won't be doing this anymore with North Carolina. And I won't be doing this anymore with, after today, this is, I'm just thinking as I'm going through this, that this will be our final moment. But the more exciting moment is going to begin. See, these moments of hundreds and hundreds of the most incredible rallies in any country, no country's ever seen anything like it. But these moments that we've had together, these really were just to create what we hopefully will create tomorrow, which is we're going to make America great again. We had to get there. So we'll have many meetings, but we won't have rally meetings. We're going to have, maybe we'll rally and then we'll rally in our success. We'll have, because we're going to make our country. We're going to make our country so successful. And we did it. We had the greatest economy. Yes, you see the numbers, you see the charts. We did such a good job, but we'll do a much better job now because I know the people. Now I know the good ones, the bad ones. I know the weak ones, the strong ones. I know the stupid ones. I know the smart ones. I know them all. After all we've been through together, we stand on the verge of the 4 greatest years in American history. With your help, we will restore America's promise and we will take back the nation that we all love so much. We are one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. We will never give in. We will never give up. We will never back down, and we will never, ever surrender. Together, we will fight, 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 and win, win, win.
And there we go. Donald Trump, fight, 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 win, win, win. This is the Only in America show with Bill Cochrane, and we are getting close to Inauguration Day. Won't be long, and most people can't wait. Everybody's wondering, Donald Trump, he already acting like he's the president. Even Joe Biden's wondering, is Joe Biden the president? They're all wondering. The Democrats can't understand when Trump went over to Paris, how all the leaders over the weekend came and met him one by one. Donald Trump, Elon Musk went with him as well. And he was greeted by a very, very warm reception from those liberals in Europe, you know. They want the money America has. They want the money they've been getting from Joe Biden. They want more Biden's money. In the meantime, Biden bucks have been spent in Angola last week. Joe Biden went to Angola over in Africa, a little country in Africa most people never heard of. They got $1 billion, and he wants to send another 30 or 40 billion to Ukraine this week. This is what he's doing for Christmas, for Zelensky. Early Christmas presents, while the people in North Carolina, Georgia, Florida suffer from a hurricane that came back in October, late October, early October, late September, we had a hurricane up in North Carolina to the tune of devastating thousands and thousands of people's lives. Many of them are living in tents right now in the freezing cold, and they're not getting any money from FEMA, it sounds like. But Joe's sending it out of the country. Climate change, the biggest lie that ever was told school kids in school, that the climate is changing and that America is behind the climate changing. They wanted to get rid of the car industry, totally. Engines, totally. Gas engines. Gas stoves up in New York. Kathy Hochul wants to get rid of the lie. The climate change lie. Why did we fall for it? Why did we fall for that lie? To a tune of trillions of dollars that have been taken out of the Americans' pockets by the politicians that have supported it. John Kerry flew his jet all over the world promoting climate change. The UN says that the United States has got to put in more money to help the climate. What about helping the American people? What about helping the person that's lying in the street right now in the cities that can't get a place to stay? What about helping the veterans that are homeless? And what about, yes, helping the people up in North Carolina, Georgia, Florida? Americans are supposed to be compassionate people, and we are. But when we cheer on a guy that shoots a healthcare executive gets killed in New York City, and there are actually people that are cheering him on because they're mad at United Healthcare. So go out and shoot people. Is this what America has become? Daniel Penny was acquitted, and BLM came back. BLM is back. They want to have riots in the streets. They want this guy, 47 or 50 times he was in jail, beating up women, older women, scaring people on the subways. And Daniel Penny came to the help, a Marine vet, helped somebody on the subway, and Alvin Bragg, a George Soros pick in New York City that lets criminals out before they even get processed, lets them out with no bail, Kathy Hochul. It's an amazing thing to see. This country's falling apart, and a guy like Donald Trump wants to make it. He actually wants to fix it. He's going to the border. Tom Homan, one of his picks for the border czar. They haven't said much against him yet. He's got to be approved by the Senate, I believe. And we got some pretty good clips tonight. How you doing, Ed?
All right.
Going to get cold tomorrow, right? It's supposed to rain. I think it's tomorrow, maybe Wednesday. Well, tomorrow is Wednesday. So tomorrow, I think it's going to be cold tomorrow night.
Thursday morning, I think it's 43.
That's cold for Florida, but maybe not for New Yorkers, but cold for me. So let's play a clip. If you got one lined up, go ahead.
Kamala's closing message to America is that she hates you. You know, there's got to be something there. I think she does. I do believe, don't forget, she's from San Francisco. She's a Marxist, or as you would say, a communist from San Francisco. She destroyed the greatest city in the country, probably. It's probably the best city in the country was. My closing message is that I love America, and I'm inviting you to join us in building an extraordinary future for our nation. My oath of office is an oath of allegiance to you, the American people, and I'm asking for your vote, but I want you to know that whether or not you vote for me, when I win, I will fight for you with every breath in my body. I will.
He's fighting. He's going to fight. He's going to continue to fight. He's not going to stop. He's got to fight. There's no question, because they're going to bring everything against him. They're going to do everything against Donald Trump. as he tries to make the country better for you and me, as he tries to close the border. They're going to try to stop that. They don't want to see the border closed. So a lot of people in this country believe in open borders. Justin Trudeau went down to Mar-a-Lago and when Donald Trump threatened to put a 25% tariff on Canada, our friends to the north, Justin took his jet, his gas-guzzling jet. Justin, who's another climate change Marxist dictator up in Canada, shut down the truckers' strike, peaceful protest a few years ago, because they wouldn't take vaccines, many of them, took the money out of their accounts on Facebook, Justin Trudeau, and he had the military come in, the police come into Ottawa and shut down that massive, massive love fest in the middle of Ottawa that Americans were watching and Americans were saying, this is wonderful to see this happen. As the truckers would blow their horns and people would laugh, they would sing and they would dance, and then all of a sudden Justin shut it down. Justin, who's up for re-election again next year. Justin, who should be impeached by the Canadian government, but I don't believe they do impeachments. Went to Donald Trump, sat next to him, got a couple pictures, and asked Donald, telling Donald Trump that if he puts a 25% tariff on Canada, he will destroy their economy. So what did the clever president number 47, Donald Trump, say to Justin Trudeau? Justin, you should become part of the America 51st state. And today he tweeted out on Truth Social, Governor of Canada, Justin Trudeau. So he did a little more dibbing. Oh, Trump gets under your skin. The lady in Mexico, the president down there, the newly elected president, she called Trump and she said she's going to help stop the border. Why didn't Joe Biden do this? Why could Joe Biden get Justin and the Mexican president on board? Because he didn't want to. He wanted to see people continue to come into this country so that he can stack the voters against the American people. Millions came in. Millions, tens of millions of people flowing across an open border, being bussed all over the country. I took a trip to Orlando the other day on a Saturday. And last time I took a trip to Orlando a couple of months ago, there were a lot of buses running around. Buses were everywhere. You saw them driving down I-4, 111 or more. And I think they were illegal immigrants being bussed all over the state. I think they're everywhere. But when I went last week, there were very few buses. Maybe the money's drying up. Maybe the money is drying up because that's what it's all about. The Catholic charities, they call them, they were putting them up in place. They know it's wrong, but they don't. The money goes to their head and they make so much money off the American people, just like the climate change liars lied to the American people over climate change, building wind turbines, building solar farms, which maybe help. That may help a little, but we still have the natural gas. We have the liquid gas. We have gasoline. We have cars that get 40, 50 miles to the gallon now. And things are happening in a big way in the energy business. And Donald Trump's getting his picks for the cabinet. Tom Holman seems like he'll fly through. Pete Hegseth, I don't know, by the time we learn to pronounce his name, I'm not sure if he's still going to be in the running, but I hope he is. Donald Trump told him to keep running, and don't give up. The former Fox, the embattled Fox News host meeting in a week and echoed his frustration with anonymous sources attacking the cabinet picks. I appreciate Pete Hegseth's responsiveness and respect for the process. Joni Ernst, the Rhino Republican from Iowa, 54-year-old Ernst, talked with Pete. And maybe she's going to back him. Maybe she will. Maybe she won't. Maybe she is just all talk. Cash Patel, Senator Chuck Grassley demanded Monday that FBI Director Christopher Wray step aside in a brutal rebuke of his tenure at the Bureau as GOP senators cheered President-elect Donald Trump's pick of Cash Patel to replace Christopher Wray as the director. For the good of the country, it's time for you and your deputy to move on, said the senator from Iowa, wrote in a blistering 11-page letter to Wray. I don't know if Wray will move on or not. Donald Trump has the right to fire him. He's in there for another 7 years. It's a 10-year term. So Cash Patel is being looked at to run the FBI. So either Christopher Wray will have to resign or Donald Trump will have to fire him, it looks like, if Cash Patel gets approved by the Senate. The Senate is going to put them through a lot of scrutiny. They didn't do it to Joe Biden's picks, but they're doing it to Donald Trump's picks. And let's play another clip. I think we got one about the future of the country here. Donald Trump's last rallies. Go ahead, Ed.
Starting on day one of my new administration, I will end Kamala's war on Pennsylvania energy, and we will frack, and drill, baby, drill. We're going to drill, baby, drill. I've only seen her 100 times saying, we will never frack again. We will never. We are going to stop fracking. We're not going to frack. We're not going to frack. We're never going to frack again. Then her polls, drop to you only have 500,000 jobs in Pennsylvania. And the income is like, you can never replace it. So she sees the polls. I think fracking would be a wonderful idea. She's such a phony. It makes you sick. And she's also crushing your energy industry with the vicious natural gas export ban. You're under this ban. It's the craziest thing. And it's costing your state a lot of money. Now, with me, one thing I'll never be stopping fracking. You know that. I've been very consistent for about 25 years. Drilling and fracking is good. I was with somebody from Saudi Arabia recently, one of the top people. I said, when you buy the 150 planes that you just bought, magnificent Boeing 777s, I said, where do you get your financing? He looks at me, financing? He didn't know what financing was. They don't finance, they have money. We have more oil and gas than they do. And you know what? If you include Anwar in Alaska, it's the biggest oil find in the world, as big as Saudi Arabia. And I opened it. Reagan couldn't get it done. He worked so hard. Nobody could get it done. I got it done. And this guy, the biggest in the world, as big, they say, maybe as Saudi Arabia. And we could have taken care of all of Asia. We would have made so much money. This guy comes in. He doesn't know what the hell's going on. Where am I? Can't even find the stairs off a platform. And he tells you, no, he can't. Look, stair, like 4 stairs behind us. If you have to, you could jump off the front. You could probably. The guy can never find his way off. Secret Service has to come up and take him off. It's terrible. I will terminate the Green New scam, and I will cut your energy prices in half within 12 months. Going to be cut in half.
If he does that, he's offering anybody that comes into the country, any company, whether it's from out of the country or in the country, that invests $1 billion into the energy business. He tweeted out today on Truth Social. I don't know if you call it a tweet. He sent out a truth. And he said that he will eliminate a lot of the regulations. He will fast track it. And he has his eye on Alaska, where there is one of the biggest oil reserves in the world, maybe bigger than Saudi Arabia. And he wants to open up these energy deposits so that we can not only be energy efficient here in this country, but that we can sell gasoline, natural gas, oil to other countries and become like Saudi Arabia in the money end. America's long overdue. America has been long overdue to start becoming wealthy again. The politicians have sold the American people down the river, by climate change, the wars, Ukraine. The war in Ukraine is costing Americans billions and billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars, and tens of thousands of lives in Ukraine in a war that we don't even deserve, shouldn't even be there. We shouldn't even be there. We shouldn't be sending them money. Never should have. When Joe Biden pulled out of Afghanistan back in August of 2021, and 13 brave young soldiers died there at the airport, Russia, Putin saw a chance. He saw an opportunity to go into Ukraine because he could see that Joe Biden was a weak president and that Joe Biden's generals were weak as well. And now that Donald Trump is back in town, Zelensky's meeting with him. He met with him in Paris. He was there. He was there with the other leaders. And Trump looked like the president already. He was there on the stage in Paris at the site of the opening of the 900-year-old Cathedral of Notre Dame. They were shaking his hand one by one, the leaders of the world, the people that watched Donald Trump stand up after being shot in the head. When he moved his head, he hit the ear, but if he hadn't moved, who knows what would have happened. But they feel this man, when he got up and said, fight, 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 this Donald Trump in July on a field up in Butler, Pennsylvania, people started to respect Donald Trump from all over the world. And Donald Trump's focus on American people, on a faith in a God that is bigger than him, he talks about now. He talks about this country getting back to the basics and loving the American people, and that the American people could care for each other. Put in politicians that are not in there forever, and maybe vote the other ones out, the ones that have been in there forever, like Mitch McConnell. Did you see where Mitch McConnell fell down today, Ed? I don't know if you saw that, but he got back up. Mitch McConnell, he's not going away easy. He's a Trump hater, and he just doesn't like Donald Trump. He's a rhino. Republican in name only. At one time, maybe old Mitch Turtle is what Rush Limbaugh used to call him, Turtle, and because he waddles around Washington, D.C., and he loves power, the Kentucky senator. Maybe he'll be gone. Maybe he'll be term limit. Maybe he'll be voted out. Bernie Sanders, he's up for re-election. 84 years old, I believe he is. He's up for re-election next year, I believe, in Vermont. Said he's going to run. Mitt Romney is finished, I believe. He's done. Mitt Romney. So Trump's got to get some senators in there that favor his agenda and favor his hopes to make America great again. And so, Ed, what do you think about the things in general?
Well, I mean, things are falling in place slowly but surely before he even gets in office, but still going to be tested by this whole Marine in New York that was prosecuted, should have been prosecuted. And now we've got Black Lives Matter threatening to do their protest riots again. But he's got to nip that in the bud.
I think that I hope it doesn't end up like George Floyd, but this guy was a bad guy, this guy in the subway.
The thing is, if you read the autopsy report, the cause of death was not asphyxiation. The cause of death was a drug overdose.
Yeah. And he would have done harm to those people, maybe. I mean, that's why Daniel Penny, it seems like he helped a lot of people. He might have saved lives from this character. And who knows if that didn't happen that day, what would have happened next with this guy? Every time he went to jail, they let him back out. It's a mental health problem in New York City. And BLM, they're trying to capture a lot of money. They want donations, I think. And Letitia James, she wants to keep the trial open for Trump.
Well, when Black Lives Matter stands up there in front of microphones, of course, that's the only time they talk, and they say that racism is alive and well in America, and I agree, it is, because people like that keep it going. They have to stir the pot because they have to make money.
I think it's politics too. The politicians, some of them thrive on that as well. It's about money. Like, it gets back to money. But BLM, they were exposed for massive millions of dollars of money that was disappeared from the organization. Yet none of them went to jail.
They didn't spend it on anything. Not one kid went to school. Not one park was built with any of that money.
No. Oh, and yet they want to put Penny in prison for the rest of his life is what they wanted to do. They wanted to put him in prison, incarcerate him for helping people. And if that had gone the other way, nobody would want to step up and help anybody in not just the subway, but in any form of helping humanitarian help. And this is what we need. There needs to be more people stepping up when things like this happen, But for some reason, BLM has got a big voice. I haven't seen Al Sharpton anywhere.
I was going to say, by tomorrow, the Crypt Keeper will definitely show up, and that's Al Sharpton.
Al Sharpton will be back, and he'll... Cuomo and Hochul might chime in, and riots might start. I mean, they want something. They're trying to get us in a war with Russia, World War III, it seems like. Joe Biden's antagonizing the bear over in Moscow. And at least he's not, probably, but it's probably maybe Obama. Not sure. They don't want to see Trump take office. It doesn't seem like. In the days we're getting close. We're getting within, 20, 30 days? 30 days, I believe it's going to be Inauguration Day. But January 6th, he's going to let all the, pardon a lot of them, probably all of them, he said the other day on television, on the Meet the Press. He was on that liberal left show. And the same lady that did the debate was trying to debate Trump one-on-one in a chair. And Trump kind of put her right in her place. He kind of was a step ahead of her, and everything she asked him, he had an answer, great answers, And one thing about Trump, Ed, he does like to talk to people, right? He likes to talk to the public.
Because he doesn't need a script and he doesn't need a prompter.
Right. Take the opposite of Joe Biden, Joe Biden, boy, he got real fiery that one time when he had the red in the background and he was up there talking. And I mean, the guy was so scary when he would talk to the American people. And he ran his whole campaign back in 2020 on getting Trump because of COVID, because of the China virus. And then when he became president, he mandated the vaccine, which harmed a lot of American people. And the mask, one of his first executive orders was the mask mandate in America. Everybody had to wear a mask, and government workers. And that's a fear tactic. The mask was a bunch of lies. I'm not saying the mask doesn't help if you do have a cold or something, but to make a person wear a mask from here to New York on an airplane the whole time, unless you take a sip of your soda, is pretty over. It's like an overkill, But
well, you have to remember, we weren't allowed in certain places unless we had a mask.
I know, you're right. We weren't allowed to have jobs unless we had the vaccine for certain government jobs, positions, and people were kicked out of the Army. Donald Trump says he's going to bring them back their money that was back pay and restore their rights as a military honorable discharge. If they want to come back into the military, Donald Trump said that he will let them come back in, and he's going to pay them. All these people that were thrown out of the Army by people like Milley, people like, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, they could care less about the army. It was a joke. And now Donald Trump is trying to put some good people in there. And the senators on the Republican side, some of them are against Donald Trump's picks, like Susan Collins from Maine, Lisa Murkowski from Alaska. They don't want Trump to get his way for anything. I guess it goes back to rhino. A lot of them are, not going to be in very long because I think they're going to get primaried out in the next election. And I think Trump wants to get off and running, but the left, they want to stop him. They don't want him to go anywhere in the first 100 days of his administration. Like Black Lives Matter, this acquittal yesterday of the Marine veteran that saved people in the subway. And like Ed said, probably he didn't even know he died. He didn't even know he died when the cops arrested him, right?
If I could have 5 minutes with those same people that were in front of those microphone and were telling us how racist this country is, that a white man was able to kill a black man and not be held accountable for it. My answer to that would be, okay, so you're saying if a black man killed another black man, we would not be standing here. Is that correct? And I'm sure their answer would probably be yes. So you're telling me because his skin is white, that's why you're here. Now, who's the racist?
He would have done it. He would have done it if the man was white. He would have done the same thing, Penny, because that's the way he was trained in his Marine training. And he was there. He took an oath to the Constitution as a Marine, and that oath stays in your mind and in your heart forever. And when he saw those people that were under attack by this kid, this guy, this professional criminal who'd been in and out of jail over 40 or 50 times. 44 times, in and out. And some of the things he did, right, Ed? What did he beat up a couple of women? And
yeah, he beat up old ladies. He was robbing people, beating up on other people. Who knows? And I understand he has a mental problem. But still, I mean, mental people, when they go berserk, you have to use force.
And you have to enforce laws and you have to try to rehabilitate them. This is where the mental, especially in New York State, they closed all the institutions where people were institutionalized. There were some really big state psychiatric hospitals in upstate New York, where I lived especially, and they closed them right down one day. And they just sent all the people that were in the hospitals back out into the street, and they don't know what to do. They give them drugs, they give them medications, they medicate them, but they don't give them any of the real help that they might need. I don't have the answers for that, but I'm sure that with all the money that we're spending on war in Ukraine, and all the money that we've spent on climate change, and all the money that we waste to try to put the auto industry out of business, I would think they'd be able to find an solution. Maybe Bobby Kennedy Jr., Make America Healthy Again, maybe he will be involved in helping some of this problems with the mental health in America, because that's just temporary. That's a temporary fix. Like the kid that shot the guy in New York, he said he had a back injury, and somebody said that maybe his grandparents didn't get the right care, or United Healthcare didn't help. But that's just a scam. The guy was from a family that were multimillionaires. His father was a multimillionaire, and so was his grandfather. So I think it was just something the guy wanted. He's getting the attention, maybe if we're talking about him, I
don't know if it's attention, because he did try to cover himself up.
Right.
The ones that are looking for attention don't cover themselves up, and they're taken into custody or whatever. This kid did everything he could to get away and hide.
He went to McDonald's. He got caught in McDonald's. I guess there was a group of men that meet at McDonald's every day for coffee, and they were laughing. They were looking at him and saying, "He looks like that shooter." They were just kidding each other. And I guess the woman at the counter heard him, and then she looked, and she was the one that called the police. I guess there's a $60,000 reward. They probably won't get any of it, but the The guy said, I was going to run back down to McDonald's. He said he went back to McDonald's about an hour later. He went to church, and then he must have been on a Sunday. Was it on a Sunday? Because he said he went to church, and after church, one of the guys that was in the coffee clutch went back and saw cops everywhere surrounding McDonald's, and he said it must have been the guy, but they didn't get the 60 grand. You know, I saw that on the social media, but there's a lot of social media speculation about this kid. You know, he even calls himself innocent. He was yelling at the reporters on the way into the police station. He started screaming at the. I mean, the guy's got something definitely wrong. Anybody that could go up and just shoot somebody like that has definitely got some issues. I don't care how many degrees he has. He's got an issue against life in general. Could have been you, could have been me, could have been anybody he could have shot. But he's getting the benefit because United Healthcare is president, a 50-year-old man with 2 kids and a wife, going to give a speech that involved Nancy, the congresswoman from San Francisco, who's been accused of short selling and all in the Congress. So he was going to an interview where he was going to, who knows, maybe he was going to whistleblow. Nobody knows. There's conspiracy issues coming out with that, like we always have. But Donald Trump, I think, is on board to make the energy open and to close the border. If he can do those 2 things in the first 100 days, and close and shut the war down in Ukraine, where we don't give him any more money, and Zelensky, the war will have to stop. I don't really want to see Putin get anything, but there's got to come to an end. There's got to come to an end over there. That can't keep going. In the war in the Middle East, that'll end on its own, I think. I think Netanyahu knows exactly what he's doing. Syria's Assad is done. He went to Russia, they say. First they said his plane went down, but then they say he's in Russia. He may be in jail, but I don't know. A lot of things happened this week, you know. I'm glad Penny got acquitted. Let's play another clip. And if you want to give us a call, 727-441-3000, 727-441-3000, the Only in America show.
I'd like to begin by asking a question. Are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? I don't think so. So I'm here today with a message of hope for all Americans. With your vote this election, I will end inflation. I will stop the invasion of criminals into our country. And I will bring back, as your president, the American dream. We're going to bring it back. Our country is being crippled and destroyed by Kamala Harris. But it does not have to be this way. It won't be this way for long, hopefully, what we put up with the 2 of them. What we put up with the 2 of them, with your support on November 5th, America will be bigger, better, bolder, richer, safer, and stronger than ever before. This election is a choice between whether we will have 4 more years of incompetence, failure, and disaster, or whether we'll begin the 4 greatest years in the history of our country. We'll do something that nobody will even believe. After all of the catastrophes that she has caused, Kamala, she can't say one thing. Not one thing that she'd do differently. They said, would you do anything differently? Well, I can't really think of anything, right? No, she's terrible. We need smart people now. It's time for smart people, not time for these people. So I'm asking you to be excited about the future of our country again, and this will be America's new golden age. We're going to turn it around so fast your head will spin. We're going to stop all of this craziness. Every problem facing us can be solved, but now the fate of our nation is in your hands. In North Carolina, you have to stand up and you have to tell Kamala Harris that you've had enough. You can't take it anymore. We're not going to take it anymore. You're the worst vice president in the history of our country. And you're aligned with the worst president in the history of our country, who, by the way, likes me more than he likes her, but I won't say that. Kamala, you're fired. Get out, Kamala, get out. Get out.
Yeah, get out. You're fired, he said. Food prices kept rising under Joe Biden. There was no end in sight. Kraft, Heinz, Tyson Foods, Campbell's Soup. All the prices were skyrocketing. Cost for labor, cost for delivery, cost for packaging, ingredients, transportation. Wall Street reported everything was on the rise because Joe Biden decided to declare war on the American energy companies, which meant he was declaring war on the American shopper. Because everything that we buy is transported. And when you transport things down these highways and on rail and across the sea, it costs money. And when you're somebody like Joe Biden and you're sold out to the climate change czar, John Kerry, Al Gore, and their agenda, and Bernie Sanders, you don't want energy. You don't want people buying energy at a cheaper price. You want it to continue to go up. And the inflation is like a tax on the American people when things go up at the store. When you go to the grocery store, even now, things are higher than they were 4 years ago. When you go into a gas station, even now, the gas prices are higher than they were 4 years ago. The crime is up more than it was 4 years ago. The border is got people still coming in. He's probably flying them in that we're not even hearing about, burning that jet fuel, making us walk, making us take the electric bus, making us ride our bicycles or our electric motorcycles while he flies illegal immigrants into this great country to a tune of millions and millions of people. Joe Biden putting them up in hotels in the cities, the sanctuary cities, like Eric Adams in the beginning said he was a Bidenite. He loved Joe Biden. He loved him. Bring him here, Joe. Bring him here to New York. And then Governor Abbott one day just decided, I'm going to send him some people from the border. And there was a war between Texas and New York City, and the buses were rolling. Those buses that burn all that diesel fuel. Politicians aren't concerned about climate change. Believe me, it's all a template. It's all a plan to take your money and distribute it all over the world to save the planet. Do you think you could save the planet if you quit driving your car? Do you think if you buy a Tesla, big shots, Tesla, or maybe a BMW electric car, or maybe an Audi, or even one of those Chevy Volts, you think that helped the environment? When the Prius first came out 10, 15 years ago, people were buying them. And that was nice because they were, they didn't burn a lot of gas. But when Donald Trump got the gas price down to under $2 a gallon, it went as low as $1.70 in some states. People were wondering, why did I spend so much money on a Tesla? Because of the narrative. Because the Democrats and the climate change people were trying to sell the American people a bill of goods that you're not going to be able to drive a car. You're not going to be able to get gas. So they started building these charging stations all over. They started building windmills all over the landscape of America. Out in the ocean off Nantucket Sound, there's windmills. The billionaires go out to Nantucket and they got to look at the windmill. They're really proud of those windmills that are killing the eagles, killing the seagulls, killing the whales off New Jersey coasts, killing them. Real proud of yourself to do all that. Solar. And all the windmill, everything in it mostly comes from China. There's probably not a lot of windmills in China. Probably not a lot of windmills in Africa or even in the Middle East or in Russia. Windmills were being built all over this country, not because Americans wanted it, but because Americans were forced to have it. Just like Joe Biden forced the vaccine on the American people when he mandated a vaccine, and many, many people didn't want to take it, maybe because of their religion, maybe because of their body, my choice. Do you remember that? Wasn't your choice with the vaccine. You didn't have a choice if you were a federal worker, if you were an airline pilot, if you were in the military. You didn't have a choice. You had to get the vaccine. You didn't know it was in the vaccine. Nobody did. But Joe Biden signed a paper mandating Americans to be forced to give the vaccine or take the vaccine. Even the kids in schools were taking the vaccine that was never even proven safe.
My message to unvaccinated Americans is this. What more is there to wait for? What more do you need to see? We've been patient, but our patience is wearing thin.
Yeah, well, a lot of good it did anybody. I mean, they would say if you got the vaccine, you won't ever get COVID. I remember when Fauci said if you're 6 feet apart, you're far enough. Do you remember the panels or the tape in Publix where you'd have to stand? And boy, if you got 5 feet, if you got within 5 feet 11 inches to the woman in front of you, she would scold you. She would look at you. And the cashiers, they were like mini cops, you know.
And remember, back then during the vaccinations, it didn't matter who you are, what your religion is, male or female. In other words, let me be frank that if you were a female, they didn't care. You had to get the shot. Fast forward now to election time where Kamala says this.
How dare they? How dare they tell a woman what she can do and cannot do with her own body?
Good clip. That's Kamala.
That's for abortion.
Yeah.
Now we've switched.
We switched. Yeah. It's not it wasn't even Joe Biden didn't think it out, but somebody else told him to say, it'll be so good when Joe gives the key, I guess, or whatever it is, to the White House on Inauguration Day. And Joe Biden went over to France. She was sitting next to Joe, got a lot of good pictures of Trump and her flirting, talking to each other. She was smiling at him. Probably went over to, see Elon Musk. He was there. Maybe she's looking at new Teslas, not sure, but Hunter's not going to prison. He got a pardon. And no Black Lives Matters are mad about that, all the money he took. And what about P. Diddy? What's happening with that? That's kind of getting a lot of Jay-Z. A lot of people are coming out, whether it's true or not, I don't know.
And I think when Dr. Jill was sitting next to Biden, and next to Trump,
yeah,
you saw her lean over and whisper something. And I think what she said was, I voted for you. I
know. And she probably did. Maybe they didn't support what Kamala did. They didn't support it. That was probably one of the biggest blunders ever in the history of politics, Democrat or Republican, putting the worst candidate they could put in.
It was known that they had lost.
Yeah.
Joe was well into bed by 7:00. But I'll bet you Dr. Jill was up celebrating when she saw Kamala lost.
And she did. And she probably called Trump. She might have been one of the first ones to call the golden phone at Mar-a-Lago, wherever Trump was, I think Mar-a-Lago. And she probably congratulated him, said, I'll see you in Paris. I don't know, Paris. Trump went to Paris. That thing went together pretty quick, that ride to Paris. I was a little worried. I was a little nervous when he flew over there. But Trump's got no fear. He doesn't fear anything, it seems like. And, they got to keep him safe. They got to protect him. This secret Secret Service. I don't know how good they are anymore. The Secret Service.
I think he should keep his plane when he gets in office. I think it's more intimidating to see that plane at an opposing airport than Air Force One.
That would be a big.
I mean, can you imagine how North Korea or China or anybody like that would toe the line, or even Afghanistan, if that plane was parked at the airport?
Right. And they say maybe that he might get a new Beast, new car. It might be a Tesla. I don't think so, but it could be, the Beast, the bulletproof and all that. Trump is going to do a lot of things. He doesn't have a lot of time. He's only got 4 years, and he's got to already think about who's going to be behind him next 2028. Because, if he's just doing everything with executive orders, that they can change it right back on the first day in office, the next president, if it's a Democrat, and that's what they will do. So he's got to work together with the Senate, work together with the Congress, and hopefully get some bills passed that will keep this long term and get a president in there reelected in 2028, which will probably be Vance, right? You think it'll be Vance?
Yeah, but I mean, day one, he's gonna have writer's cramp or run through a couple of pens because he's gonna have to change back so many things that Biden changed, not only on day one and throughout his presidency, that there's going to be so many things. I mean, even the tedious things. I mean, there were the big things, of course, like the pipeline and everything. But even the new Air Force One that Trump designed and put together, and it was going to come out in another 4 years, and it will. And he changed the paint design on it to look more modern and more of America.
Right.
Biden changed that back.
Yeah, he would. And he probably will have that change. But January 6ers, I hope he pardons them. Do you think he should pardon them all?
Who?
The January 6ers.
Well, how do you pardon somebody that hasn't been accused of anything?
No, but you think he should pardon all the ones that are in jail and all?
Oh, I thought you meant on the other side.
No,
I mean, Biden is possibly going to throw out a blanket pardon to Cheney and all those.
No, but do you think that Trump should pardon in January?
But the ones that are in jail, I think he should pardon. The ones that did not cause harm. I mean, if they did destructive matters, even if they did destructive matters, by now they should be out.
Well, everybody else, let's face it. The
and I'm talking like break a window.
The Capitol,
not beat the heck out of somebody.
The Capitol is the people's house, and a lot of people got hung up in the moment. And how do you know the Antifa and other people that were in there? Maybe you shouldn't. If there were FBI sources in there, you shouldn't pardon them. But they probably didn't go to jail. Those. I don't know. They say that's a pretty nasty jail, that Washington jail, but I would close that too, if you could. Executive order, shut it down. And, we're going to go out with a beautiful song by Jay Black, Only in America. And we're getting close to Christmas, getting close to the end of the year, and getting close to the day that Donald Trump and J.D. Vance will take office, and he'll be number 47, 45, 47. We're not even going to be talking about 46 much anymore. Thank you that Kamala Harris did not win the election. She didn't. She didn't win. She was probably the worst one they could have put up against him. Raised over $1 billion. $1 billion. They were giving her money. They were voting. That was against Trump. That could have been anybody. But $1 billion. Could you imagine what $1 billion could do for a lot of people? I hope they help the people in North Carolina, too. It's devastating seeing them live in tents out in the cold. Georgia, Florida beaches are destroyed, many of them. It's going to take years to recover from those two hurricanes, but we will recover because this is America. We live in the greatest country in the world. And, hey, another show. Thank you, Ed, and God bless America.
In America.